Hey everybody, this is Austin, and today we are talking with Christi Lynn, who is the marketing manager for Adventures in Odyssey. So, welcome, Christi.
Thanks for having me.
Well, the first question that we want to ask today is, what was your first exposure to Adventures in Odyssey?
Well, my first exposure to Adventures in Odyssey was really when I was in college. I came to find out that there was a show called Adventures in Odyssey, and I heard it on a local Christian station. I was actually working at a country station at the time, and so that was the first exposure to that. And then I very quickly became familiar with Adventures in Odyssey when I came to focus on the family back in 2000.
So, did you become a fan of it right away, or was it just more like a casual kind of thing?
Well, it was more casual at first, but when I came to Focus, one of the first jobs that I had at Focus on the Family when I started was I worked in international. And actually, my job was to syndicate Adventures in Odyssey outside the United States in English countries. And, I don't know if folks know, but Adventures in Odyssey is heard in over 40 countries. And so that is where I really began to just admire the show and love the show and just really love the writing of the show. It's a wonderful piece for kids and the whole family, and I've grown to love it over time, over the years.
And springboarding off your answer there, how did you come to work for Focus on the Family and AIO?
Yeah, so I was working in television. I started radio when I was 16, so I've worked in radio in a variety of ways since, well over 25 years now. And out after college, I started working in television. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Working in promotion marketing, which is what I do for Odyssey now. And, when I had my daughter, I was working in television 60, 70 hours a week. And I just knew I couldn't do that with my daughter. I knew I loved to work. I love being useful, even outside the home and inside the home. And so, we missed our family. We missed being around. We were outside of Kansas City, not around anyone family wise. And so we started looking. My father in law's like, well, they have Focus on the Family here in Colorado Springs. Why don't you check them out? And so literally I did. I started checking out Focus on the Family, was interviewed for a couple of different positions. But to be honest with you, I didn't feel like anything was really gelling. Not to leave TV over because I loved television and broadcasting and didn't really want to leave that. And I had gone at Christmas time, even visited with a couple of folks here at Focus, and nothing just seemed right. And probably a month or two later, I got a call. And they're like, would you be interested in international? And I said, you have read my resume, right? Like, I've not been out of the United States. I don't know anything. I don't know any languages. I barely, I had Spanish in high school, but don't remember it now. Had Spanish in college, but I know habla español very well. So, and so through a matter of conversations, I just felt like God was saying, you need to do this. You need to go. And it stretched me. But it was probably one of the most wonderful times of my life because I literally saw, the gospel and the broadcast that Focus on the Family, that what they do, go beyond the borders of the United States and be in countries like Iraq and be in countries for the first time like Papua New Guinea, and stuff like that. It would just floored me, and it was amazing to see God work and move. Over the years, I kind of missed radio. I missed being in the trench of the day-to-day operation of radio. So in 2003, I left and I went and worked locally here in Colorado Springs as a morning show host for a Christian morning show, and was doing marketing for them there at the station. I was still around Adventures in Odyssey because our station, our Christian Talk station, aired it. So I was promoting it all the time, even though I wasn't working in it. And then I came back to Focus in 2006. started in our what was our syndication agency called Briargate Media, and started working there and was syndicating Adventures in Odyssey again, not only globally but also through television with our DVDs that we have. We were syndicating that with area television stations around the country and internationally. And then also started working with great Christian station affiliates around the country that air Adventures in Odyssey, like WDAC and WAWZ, many, many more, and just grew to love the show and also grew to love the folks in and around the show that helped made it possible. So from there, I just had kind of a personal just calling on helping kids and just working with kids. So I kind of migrated to our parenting department probably around 2010, started working with our parenting team and just working with how to reach kids and parents, and was working very much behind the scenes, but was exposed and around Odyssey that entire time. And then around 2012 was asked to move over to our resource marketing team, and specifically to work with our parenting and kids resources. And so that was the first time that I was very much hands-on Odyssey from the very beginning of creating packages and products and things for Odyssey. And so that's kind of where I've been ever since 2012. I've been in that role and just have grown in the role, now working as marketing director for kids and culture. So not only do I work with Adventures in Odyssey, which is probably the best part of my job, but the other parts of my job, which I love almost as equally as much, is working with our Wait No More, our Option Ultrasound, our Sanctity of Human Life, making sure that kids that can't stand up for themselves have a voice, have someone to stand up for them, and then also just standing up for babies. And it's just remarkable to be able to be in a place and in a position where not only we can help kids know about Jesus, but we can also save babies' lives. And I get to be a part of all of it, and it's very much fun.
Well, your title for Odyssey is marketing manager. So, what does all that entail?
Being the marketing manager director for Adventures in Odyssey is very much a probably the best part of my job. It entails a couple of things. Number one, from the retail side of things, it's getting the packaging ready all the way from the beginning. So I'll work with the team, with Dave and Nathan and the team, and I'll say, okay, guys, you guys know what scripts you're going to be utilizing. What are they? What's going on in them? And then how best should we just illustrate those on the packaging, and what should the title be? And so we'll talk about that. And then from there, we'll work with our art director, who works alongside Gary Locke, who is our artist. He'll come up with pencil sketches, we'll approve those, and then he'll move forward into more detailed illustrations, and we'll approve that along the way, working with the Odyssey team on that. And once we get a final illustration, then we work with our graphic designer that can help create the packaging and get that done. And so we just, that is somewhat what we do with the retail. And then once we have the packaging done, we're working on how best do we market it. What are we going to do to market it within the CBA market, which is our bookstores and so forth, working with our friends at Tyndale. And then also, how are we going to market it within our own Odyssey channels? Are we going to do a contest wrapped around it, or what are we going to do? So that is kind of the retail part. The radio part of it is just making sure that we have spots, the commercials, if you will, for Odyssey scheduled out, produced, created. So we're working in advance to get those done, and then working with the team, with Rudy and the team, to get all those scheduled and in the proper places for the next month. And then also working with our radio stations on a variety of contests that they may do locally, or just making sure they're aware of national promotions that we may do from time to time, and making sure that communication gets out to them. And then also from a fan engagement perspective with social media, working with our team to get social media out the door and make sure folks know what to promote, what to market each month. And when it comes to contest, everything from the idea of the contest to the prize of the contest to working with our legal team to get contest rules going, and then working with our web team to get sub pages done, and all the landing pages and things that are needed to be done with that, and then executing the contest and making sure that folks are taken care of. So I have a team, I have a manager and also a coordinator that I work with, that they help me get things coordinated and packages sent off and done. And then finally, the other thing, which is kind of the big thing that's been on our plate for the past 2 years, has been the Odyssey Adventure Club. I was have been a part of it from the very beginning, from even before we launched, making sure that things were functional and operational, and all the web pages and things were going to work. And then now just marketing it and making sure the business behind the scenes happens, and so that folks get good customer service and they get what they need through the club. So, and working with Bob and the team in that respect. So that's just kind of a nutshell of what I do.
Wow, sounds like you keep pretty busy, huh?
It is a busy job, but I love it. I love to have fun. What I love about it are the stories. Right now we're doing a Christmas drawing contest, and every single day I'm getting mail that comes in, and kids have drawn different pictures of Whit and Eugene and Connie and the Barclay family, the Parker family, and they're super cute. They're so adorable. And, you see a drawing from a 6-year-old that Whit has a really big mustache, and you see drawings of 17-year-olds that will blow you away. They're so beautiful. And so those are awesome. And then also just receiving the stories. We had a little girl who sent in a story about how she was listening to album 58, and when the whole marriage thing came down in the courts, her mom had written us and said, "Thank you, Adventures in Odyssey, for teaching our kids what marriage was," because my daughter was able to say, "I learned about marriage from Whit, and that marriage is special, and it's supposed to be honored, and then it's between a man and a woman." And so you get stories like that, or you get a story from a dad that says, "Hey, you guys have changed our lives. We decided to turn off the TV set, and we turn on Adventures in Odyssey every single night now. And so no more garbage in. We have great stuff going into our hearts and our minds before we go to sleep. And we are able to end our day with one of the best things in our lives." And so when we hear stories about that, or stories about kids accepting Christ or growing in Christ, or kids that have said, "Hey, I didn't know that you could be a veterinarian and live and work for Jesus," and that's a direct result of the team's just dedication and effort to create wonderful stories that just teach lasting truths and teach God's word. And so it's amazing to hear those stories. And that's why I love what I do, is because we're able to hear those stories, and we're able to hear how much of a difference we make in the lives of folks, not only kids, but families. And then we hear the stories of babies being named John Avery Whitaker, and people being married with an Odyssey wedding theme. So it runs the gamut, and it makes my heart happy just to know that folks are being impacted in a positive way with Adventures in Odyssey.
Wow, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Since you're so close with the show, do you have a favorite character?
Well, oh my goodness. I have to say I probably like Wooten the best, and it's just because he's zany and he's funny and he says wild stuff. And I just think I love to hear him, and I love what he says. And I think Jess Harnell, who plays him, is just phenomenal as far as how he portrays him and how he does it. And of course, all the characters are portrayed beautifully by our actors, and our actors have done an amazing job. And it's been great to get to know them, and great to get to know kind of their history in the business, and what's happened in their lives too. So I don't know. I love Wooten, and I love the color blue. So the postman outfit, it works for me.
All right. Well, I know you've been on lots of different projects, but is there one that stands out in your mind as being your favorite project that you've worked on for Adventures in Odyssey?
I don't know about favorite project. I will say I loved getting the show because I think we ended up with Shona, which was just a phenomenal. She went on to do other work besides working with us, and she's done great. So it was just great to see all of that happen. I think for me though, I think what I loved the best was working on projects where kids can show their love for God and they can really live out their faith. And so when we did the A Call to Serve, the Acts, even though we didn't have the thousands of entries like the Get in the Show contest that we did with Acts, it were, those were stories of kids actually doing something for someone else and just playing that part in the larger story that God has for them. And so just hearing their story, seeing what they were doing, and just doing a variety of things. That was probably one of the favorite things that I've worked at and worked on. And then of course our finalists got to go on a mission trip, so they were able to live that out with their parents, and just working with their families was just phenomenal. Great families. So that would probably be my favorite thing to date.
Okay. And you've talked about working on the Odyssey Adventure Club from the very beginning, but is there anything that you can share with us that we can look forward to coming to the club in the future?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you. I think if folks realized how much this club means to the whole Adventures in Odyssey, for the first time in 27 years, has literally made Adventures in Odyssey be able to break even, if I can even say that. It is that important. It's allowed us to continue what we're doing. And so I just, first of all, just want to say thanks to all the fans that have really participated in the club, because first and foremost, you're allowing Adventures in Odyssey to continue for the future, just from a business perspective. So that, just thank you. And then the other thing would be just the wonderful global community that has been developed through the club has been phenomenal. And just seeing folks from around the world be able to talk with each other. And then because of the club, one of the things when we developed the club is we wanted to give back to others. We wanted kids to be able to go beyond themselves and be able to share and to give. And so through the club and with working with different ministry organizations, we've been able to give 65,000 vaccinations to kids that wouldn't have had it otherwise. We've been able, I think, with the veterinarian story, we were able to give some goats and I think a camel and some other stuff for them, literally. And then we were able to ultimately give the gospel and a sound system for a ministry organization in Alaska so that they could do after school programs. So if folks just realize the breadth and the depth of impact that they're able to have through the club, I think that's important first and foremost. As far as what's going on, we're entering what is going to be our third year. We'll turn 2 officially in January, but entering our third year of the club. And, just some exciting things. I have been so blessed to be able to work alongside Bob Smithhauser. He's a phenomenal writer. He's a wonderful friend, and he has done a stellar job of just writing and creating content for the kids and for everyone who sees the monthly content. If you're able to check out the behind the scenes videos and see some of that, Bob pours his heart and soul, as the whole team does of Odyssey, into his work. And so it has just been great to see what he has been able to do. I think the biggest thing for club members is that we still want to give exclusive content. And so that means that the club members get the first sneak peek a sneak listen, if you will, of all of our new albums. So right now, fans can listen to album 60 that is going to be out later on in the spring, but they can listen to it now before anybody else. And so I still feel like exclusive content like that is so much fun. I know my son, who's 10, he loves to listen to all the new stuff, and he can't wait to listen to it, and he listens to it every single night. The other thing I would say is we're looking at doing some exclusive contests that are just for club members and not for not for the larger brand, just to get some exclusivity for our club members. And so that is coming. I think the first kind of bit of that will be in February, and then you'll see some more coming in the future. Definitely the sneak peeks, extra content, some things of that nature will be coming. And I know the guys have been recording the episodes, and I haven't listened to all of them, but I do know that we're going to be in for a treat.
I know some people have talked about this. Pretty much every Odyssey episode and some of the special stuff you guys have made have been on there. Is there a possibility that we might see the Eugene Sings albums appear on there someday?
Ooh, the Eugene Sings album. I need to check into that and see what's going on that. I know we can I think we had locked it away in a vault once, but I'm not sure if we're going to allow it to come out again. I will definitely check on that.
All right, well, thanks. All right, and going beyond just the Odyssey Adventure Club, can you tell us about some of the new products coming in 2016 and beyond that us fans don't know about yet?
Yeah, sure. Would be happy to. And of course, some of it we're still trying to decide on too. It's kind of funny. But, even with retail, we are working about 18 months out, which is kind of crazy. So we just, after Christmas, we're going to be kicking off spring of 17. But what we've got going on for 16 is, of course, with the Imagination Station, which is a part of Adventures in Odyssey. We have Imagination Station 17 coming out in Fear of the Spear. That's going to be coming out in January. Also, the third book from the Candid Conversations with Connie is coming out, and that will kind of conclude that series of books for girls. And of course, there's been 3 books that have been out, and hopefully girls can find that very helpful, and moms that are and dads that are raising girls can find that very helpful, because girls are just, and boys are bombarded with different messages as they're growing up, and it's really, really important that they get the right messaging, and of course that comes first and foremost from the Bible, and just living God's way. And so we want to be able to teach girls that, and we're doing that through the Candid Conversations with Connie. And I will say that book kind of has a special meaning in my heart. I've been doing girls ministry at my local church for 7 years now, and I see the need for girls to have the right messaging in their hearts and their minds. And so that book has a special place in my heart because I got to write the outline for the book, and then Kathy Buchanan and Marianne Herring came along and wrote it much better than I would have. So, but that book is coming out as well this spring. And then in March, in February, we'll have the digital download of album 60 available. And then in March, it will be in the stores. And of course, that's Head Over Heels, album 60. And then in May, we'll have the Ultimate Road Trip, which will be a culmination of some of the greatest episodes that deals with family vacations. What we have heard over the years, and again, just lately, is that a lot of kids, a lot of families love to use Adventures in Odyssey on the road. And while they're going on a road trip, they'll stick in the CD, and others have told us that they stuck in the cassette tapes as they were growing up, but they'll stick those in and they'll be listening to those as they go wherever they're vacationing, and they love that. So we are creating the ultimate road trip collection for fans, and that will be out in May. And then in October, we'll have album 61 that will be coming out, and that official title is called Without a Hitch. And we are in the beginning works of creating the packaging and the illustrations on that. So that will be coming out in October. We're also working on an Imagination Station 18 that will be Escape on the Train, or Escape from the Train. I think I might have said that wrong, but anyway, it's coming out, and it's going to be really, really good. That's going to end kind of a story arc for Imagination Station there. And then we are also working on, in spring of 2017, we're working on releasing some stuff for Captain Absolutely. So that's going to be coming soon too. So lots of cool stuff in the works and happening, and it's going to be fun. I know something that just got approved upon is we're also going to be working on an audio Bible. It's probably going to be probably not the whole Bible, maybe just one part of the New Testament or a gospel from the New Testament. And that will probably release in 2017 as well. So I know that just got approved to move forward on, and the team is excited about that.
All right, that sounds awesome. Um, do you also work with radio theater, or is it just Adventures in Odyssey?
My team does work on the marketing for radio theater.
Could you tell us if there's anything in the future for a new radio theater drama yet?
I probably need about another 2 or 3 months on that to answer that question, because we're in the process of talking about some things right now. So probably need another 2 or 3 months on that to know. I know that there is a desire to do more. I know that with radio theater, we're going to be embarking on 20 years pretty soon. I forget if it's next year or the year after that it's 20 years. I have to look at the calendar again on that. But I also know, I was talking to Dave this morning, I was texting him, and Andy Serkis, who is, he was a part of Screw Tape Letters. He is actually a part of Star Wars this weekend, so that's kind of cool. So don't know if folks knew that, but that's kind of cool. So be listening and watching for that.
All right. Sounds like there's a lot coming up.
Of course, always. The other thing, Austin, you got to look. We've got the 30th coming up in 2017. So there's probably going to be some other 30th stuff coming your way soon. Again, we're in the process of just finalizing some details on that. And so we'll likely know in about another month or two kind of what the 30th plan's going to be looking like.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
I am too. It's going to be exciting.
All right, and to wrap up this interview, since we just have, at the time of this recording, probably like less than a week till Christmas, or about a week. So I just wanted to ask you a few Christmas-related questions. One of which is, it's a little bit easier because a lot of times I ask people what their favorite Odyssey episode is, which I know is a very hard question.
All of them. That's the right answer around here. All of them.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make it a little bit easier for you and ask you, what is your favorite Christmas Odyssey episode?
Oh, I think it has to be Pokenberry Christmas. And the reason for that is I grew up a PK, which is a preacher's kid. So I can very much relate to being a part of a preacher's family where a pastor is just devoting themselves to their congregation, and they're working their heart out, and sometimes you feel like you're beating your head against the wall and nothing's working right. And I think with Pokenberry, you kind of feel that way with George Barkley, and just the fact that that he's trying his hardest. And of course, the guy, for those who haven't heard, the guy, the treasurer, you have all these volunteers you're working with, and the guy lost the bank deposit slip, and so things are going bad there. And then you've got people in a church sometimes, unfortunately, that aren't always nice, and you have to learn to work with them too. And that is also the case with the rich guy that is wanting George just to give up. And I think for those in ministry, and for those especially pastoring churches, sometimes it is hard. It's hard. It's hard work. Very little thank yous, and so I always think of my dad when I hear that episode, because my dad has pastored several small churches, and there's been many times over the 40 plus years he's been pastoring where he has felt like giving up. And I just love, just like, It's a Wonderful Life, he realizes that his life does matter and his impact matters, and that sometimes you just have to work through difficult situations. And so that's what I like about that episode. And I love the guys, from Paul to Dave to Phil to Nathan to the rest of the writing team, Marshall and Kathy and others. It's been remarkable. The amazing amount of creativity God has given them has just been so apparent throughout many, many episodes of Adventures in Odyssey. And I think this is just one of those where they take a kind of a Christmas classic and Odysseize it.
All right, and our last question for you is, what is your favorite Christmas memory?
Well, that would have to be the year that my daughter was born, because my daughter was due on Christmas Day. And I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed that God would not let me be in labor on Christmas Day. And He answered my prayer. And my little girl was born 17 years ago this year. And she was born on the 21st, so 4 days before Christmas. And so it was a unique Christmas because I kind of felt like Mary, except I didn't have to ride the donkey. And, and I was just so many memories around that time of year where you can kind of reflect on the Christmas story, the true Christmas story. And but just having my little girl and being able to be home and on Christmas and rock her, she was by far, besides Jesus being the greatest gift, she has definitely been one of the wonderful gifts in my life.
Wow, that's great. Well, that's all the questions we have for you, Christy. We want to thank you so much for taking time to talk with us and share about your work and what's coming up in the future.
Well, thank you so much, Austin, and just thank all the fans for continued just loyalty and continued love for Adventures in Odyssey. And this next year is going to be really cool as we start ramping up for the 30th. So do be listening and do be watching because we'll hopefully give you some details very, very soon.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all that you do for Odyssey, and also thanks to Nathan Hubler and Rudy Hare for setting up this interview as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you. I hope you have a great one.
Oh, I'm planning on it, and I hope everyone listening has one too.